How can we identify the fake journals?
Okay, great. Good. So, how can you identify fake or predatory journals? So, first, let me start by explaining what are predatory journals. If you look for the definition of predatory journals, you will find lot of definitions, right? But what is the main thing that you need to know? A predatory journal does not have a transparent editorial and review process, right? And I think there are some editors also in the room and they would agree with me that journals that do not specify or do not make it transparent about the reviewing system, about the editorial system, they are usually considered to be predatory journals, and which do not follow the COPE guidelines, the Committee on Publication Ethics guidelines, right? Those are considered to be predatory journals. Now, I would say, whenever you make a decision on anything, right, you do a SWOT analysis. That means you look at that issue from every angle, and then after understanding everything, you take a decision. Similarly, when you look at journals, you need to look at every angle. First, your first things to identify a few fake journals is they would ask for money. Now, again, this is not the only thing. Money, as I explained earlier, there are some very good high impact factor open access journals that give you the option to make your article open access. They are also paid, so you need to pay an APC charge. Don't confuse them with fake journals. But yes, that is one of the ways you can, take a step back and understand. Then there will be a lot of ads that you see on social media that we represent this journal, we can help you get a publication. Do not fall for them. Directly contact the publisher, directly submit your article on the journal platform, right? And you can be safe. Next is look at the journal's homepage, right? That will give you a lot of information. Usually homepages are beautifully made, right? So you check the information that it provides. Let us say, take an example. It tells you that this journal is Scopus indexed. Don't believe him. Go to Scopus platform, and it is again free. Even if you don't have access to Scopus, you can check that. Go to the Scopus platform, download the Scopus source list, and check from the active list of journals whether that journal is currently indexed or not, right? So that will also give you an indication. It can also claim that it is indexed in other databases. So whichever database it talks about, just look that database up and try to get more information, right? So again, I would like to say, you are researchers, you need to research everything. So do check them from various angles. If it claims to have impact factor, check whether it is JCR impact factor or not, because that is what is valid. Anyone can calculate impact factor for any journal, but that is not the authentic, right? So check all these things. I think when you check all these things, you can actually take out the factor of falling for a predatory journal in the majorly. But again, there are always chances that people fall for such predatory journals. But all you need to do is take additional care. That is what I would like to say.
All right, Vishal, thank you very much. Another interesting question. Sometimes bibliography directly downloaded from Google Scholar does not have all the fields. For example, journal name may be written in lowercase. How to correct such things rapidly without editing each of them references for its correctness?
Okay, so a good question again, and good that you mentioned Google Scholar, because you see, I told you in the beginning, the source of the documents is also very important, right? If you download an article or if you save the reference of an article from an authentic website like Science Direct platform or other publishers platforms, Scopus, etc., you will rarely face this issue, right? So these issues are mainly caused by open directories where the data is not curated, where the authenticity is not maintained, and it is open to publish. People just submit their data online. That way is what happens is the source is incorrect, and that is why the fields that you see on Mendeley are incomplete. The best practice that you can follow is copy references or save references using web importers from publisher's website or Scopus or any other platform that you have access to directly. If you use any illegal websites, right, most of the times, or rather all the times, the data will be incorrect, right? Because we also need to understand these illegal websites, how they are getting you those documents. Mostly they are hacking websites. And then another thing is, if you, let's say you cannot find a reference and all you have is that particular information, in that case you use it, and then you can automatically you can manually edit the file names with the volume name or the abstract details, etc. on Mendeley. So this is what is my recommendation in this case.
So another question is, are papers from other publisher is also available on Mendeley, or is it only restricted to Elsevier journals?
No. So Mendeley is an open source repository, so anyone can submit their articles on Mendeley. Of course, there is a curation check that is done, right? But again, it's an open source directory that is there, and it takes into account all the publishers, right? So anyone can submit their data on Mendeley.
Okay, and then what is the difference between Mendeley and other databases like EndNote and Zotero?
Great.
Kind of thing.
Great. So good to know that you are all aware of the reference managers, and there are so many available, today. But Mendeley, what advantage Mendeley has mainly is that the software that I showed you, it can also work when you are offline. That means you do not need internet connection. In case of EndNote, there are two types of version. One is the paid version or the licensed version, and one is the free version. In the free version, you need to have internet connectivity, right? But Mendeley is free, and you can use Mendeley even without internet connectivity. Second thing, other reference managers are only reference managers. Mendeley has a bouquet of features that it can give you. It's a social networking platform. It can help you organize your documents. You can find career opportunities. You can find funding opportunities, and much, much more. So that is where the difference is between Mendeley and other platforms.
Another question is, can we edit the bibliography as we wish?
Yes. So I said you can edit the bibliography as you wish, but while doing so, be very careful, because a small mistake can change the bibliography, and once it is detected by softwares, it can be detected as a wrongly formatted citation. So take care, but you can do that.
Another question, and very technical question, Vishal, that is there any restriction on the upper threshold of number of articles that can be saved in Mendeley? Secondly, they also wanted to ask whether Mendeley puts parentheses before and after the citation, whereas APA 6th edition asks for parentheses on the date only. So can they fix it?
Yes. So what you can do on Mendeley is, like the first part of the question, which was, Pranav, can you tell me the first part of the question again?
Yeah, the first part was, 1 minute. I was just scrolling through another question.
Okay.
Is there any restriction on upper threshold of number of articles?
Right. Yeah. Right. So number of articles on Mendeley. So Mendeley, as I said, the data is saved on a cloud. So you have a space of 2 GB, right? Now, on an average, PDF articles would have a file size of, let's say, 100 to 150 KB. So you simply divide that number. But I can tell you 2 GB is a lot of space for PDFs. And if you wish to save more space on Mendeley, it is recommended that you save references rather than PDFs on Mendeley. That can also help you save space.
Right.
Second question is, again,
yeah, and the one, and I just wanted to interfere here, Vishal. And they can also remove the articles which they don't wish to cite again.
Right.
The PDFs.
Right.
That
right.
also can save the.
Yes. So it's a good point that if you don't require articles that need to be cited, you can remove it and then later on add it back again when you need them. So that will also help you. Thank you, Pranav, for that. And another thing is regarding the author, the citation style, which talked about APA 6th edition and other editions where there are changes. So see, if there is a 7th edition, that will automatically be updated. All you need to do is go to Mendeley, search for APA 7th edition. You will get it, install it, start using it. So what I'm saying is, you need not be very technical or understand the technicalities of a particular reference style. All you need to know is the name of the citation style. Find it, find the edition, and then start using it.
All right. Another interesting question. What if we want to cite from a non-PDF article? like
Okay.
from a newspaper or a magazine? How will be included in their Mendeley repository?
Okay. So if it is available online, so let's say that particular link is available online, then you can use the Mendeley reference, that Mendeley web importer, and you can get the web page information and cite it. If it's a newspaper article, then what you can do, I mean, it's a hard copy newspaper, or any source that is not available online, then you need to improvise, right? So what you can do, you can save a blank PDF on Mendeley and then edit the citations accordingly. Of course, that will be useful if you have only one or two, then you can manually edit the information, right? And then change the format, because when you get this citation on the right hand side, there will be a drop down what kind of article it is. So let's say it's a newspaper article. So you choose from the drop down that it's a newspaper article. So it will format it in that way and cite it as a newspaper article is cited.
A couple of questions regarding the authenticity, the data privacy, and is Mendeley library safe and private? So your take on that, Vishal.
Right. So the entire Mendeley library is IP protected. So it's you do not have any issues regarding data leak or anything. Everything is stored on an IP protected portal on the Mendeley cloud. And one very important information that probably I missed out is Mendeley also has a mobile software. So you can download Mendeley on your Android phones and iPhones, and you can access your documents on the go. All this is IP protected, so there is no issues with data privacy.
All right. So another question, Vishal, and it is very common question which we have been hearing since long. That does Science Direct cater to social sciences research? Because the name says so, Science Direct. Yeah. So that
Right.
is something also we need to clarify here in this
Yeah,
forum.
so whoever asked this question, thank you for that, because it will benefit everyone, this answer. So when we say sciences, we mean research, any kind of research. So Science Direct, as I said in the beginning, we cover all the subject areas, starting from physical sciences, health sciences, to medical sciences, life sciences, and social sciences. And within social sciences, you can get all the subcategories of social sciences, like say psychology, law, transportation, English literature. So we even cover articles from English literature, sports, right? Sports medicine, anything that you wish to know. All these subject areas are covered on Science Direct. You type a keyword, you will get results, right? Okay.
A technical question: how to install Mendeley, and can we use it for making assignments?
Yes, of course. So how to use Mendeley? I will share a PPT with all the participants, right? You can use that. I also showed it on the in the webinar. You can also get the recording and you can see how I did it. But I will share the PPT with you so that you can easily know the steps of how to use Mendeley and install it. Apart from this, I think Mendeley is pretty much simple to use. Just have some hands-on experience, and you can easily understand how Mendeley functions, right?
So is guide for authors different from journal to journal?
Yes, guide for authors is different from journals to journals, because every journal has its own aims and scopes. Every journal has its own policies. So yes, the answer to this is yes. Every guide for authors is different for different journals. They may have different referencing styles. So that is why it is different from journal to journal.
What is the first step to choose a good research topic?
Okay, so this is again something that is very subjective, and I think your seniors and PIs are better people to answer this. But how to choose a good topic? My answer would be, again, depends on the subject area that you are into, right? If somebody is in the medical sciences, I would recommend, I mean, right now, if you ask me right now, anything related to coronavirus. So you need to go with the trend, right? Again, it totally depends on the subject area. But today, if you look at coronavirus has affected life science, medical science, social science, economics, business. It has impacted every travel, hospitality, law. So many things it has changed, right? So right now, anybody writes an article on coronavirus, I think it's a good topic to choose. So go with the trend. And again, this is a very generic statement that I've given you, but within your own topic, within your own subject area, there are going to be some trending topics, right? And then see, for this, there are specialized tools that are available. I do not want to discuss them in detail on this platform, but let's say there is a tool called Cyval, which can actually help you find top topics, top trending topics in a particular subject area across the globe, across your country. And that is how you can also get an idea about that particular topic and how many articles and what is the impact, etc. But yes, you can go with the trend. You can see which are the futuristic topics. Consult with your seniors and PIs. I think you will be good to go.
Yeah, thank you, Vishal. Another question which is probably linked to what you have said right now. So it's a regional kind of question which sir has been asked to answer us. That it is assumed in Pakistani context that if any journal accepts manuscripts and being published within a day or within a month, it is perceived as a not a good journal, not a good journal. So do you have any comment on that to make, Vishal?
So yes, I think again, see, publication time cannot define the quality of a journal at all. It is an indication that you should be careful and you should take a step back and reassess, but it is not a confirmation that the journal is not good or bad. Nowadays, as I said in my presentation earlier, journals are fast tracking research in coronavirus. So within 15-20 days, the article will be published, right? So the peer review process has been sped up. So I don't think judging a journal based on the time period in which it gets published should be acceptable, right? Should be considered as a measure to measure the quality of a journal, right? It is definitely an indication that you should reassess, but not a confirmation.
A lot of queries and questions regarding Mendeley being compared to other databases. So probably when we send out the PDFs to the participants, so probably we can include a slide where we can compare and differentiate between the
Sure.
websites which we have. And a lot of questions obviously regarding the kind of PPT or PDF, whether you will they will receive it or not. So you have already answered for that, that after the
Right.
end of session, you will be going to share that.
Right.
We'll take another question. That is, what is the status of co-authors on publication authenticity and consideration?
Again, I would say that if you're talking about credibility or credit that is given to co-authors, so yes, that is why we have separations as first author, corresponding author, co-author, first author, second author, third author. See, when you consider databases, online databases like Scopus or like other platforms, in that case, there is no differentiation. Even a co-author will get one publication, even a first author will get one publication. The difference is when the evaluating agency, right, needs to evaluate. Let's say HEC lays down rules that every person having 5 first author papers will be considered. So in that case, your first author credit becomes important. So it depends on the evaluating agency, but not when you talk about scientific community, it is considered as an equal publication for a first author and a corresponding author, right? So it all depends on the perception and who needs this answer.
If you want to consult an expert to suggest us the journal for the article we have to publish in a paper, do we have any platform for that?
Elsevier Researcher Academy. Go to the Elsevier Researcher Academy. You will find courses specifically for whatever you've asked. So again, my recommendation to all of you, go to the free Elsevier Researcher Academy. Most of the questions that you have asked related to publishing, ethics, etc., will be all answered there on that platform. It is a very user-friendly platform, very interactive, and I think all of you can use it, right? I think, Pranav, we've taken most of the questions. We'll try to answer other questions on text or via email,
Okay.
right?
All right.
Thank you so much, Pranav.
Okay.
What I wish to inform you, one last thing is that for all HEC member institutes that have subscribed to Science Direct, we have provided institutional user ID and password to each one of you. You can use those ID passwords and access Science Direct content directly from your home, right? So with this, I would like to thank you so much for being such a patient audience. And again, I would like to thank HEC for their time and helping us out in conducting this webinar smoothly.